Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to the videos of the paid request, this time for Kevin. Thank you so much for that, and for those interested in requesting any type of videos, topic, a tier list, a review, a reaction, a commentary, a re-review, what have you. Feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both things are down below in the info box. Now, I think it's pretty clear I'm just kind of done like dinner with Marvel. That despite what people think, I used to like this company. I used to like the products they were making. Even back in the days of Marvel being in low budget films, I love The Punisher with Dolph Lundgren. I'm not afraid to say that. I still love that movie. Still love Blade and Blade 2. I like the 2003 Daredevil film. I like the 2003 Hulk film with Eric Bana. Despite their flaws, I like those films. I find them entertaining or interesting. Iron Man, the Captain America trilogy. Guardians of the Galaxy, I did not mind the second one. But the way they just bring this fucking product out again and again and again without, in my opinion, much effort, much talent, lazy, lackluster, or politically motivated, or all the bells and whistles of bullshit, it just becomes cringe inducing. And yes, there is a certain fatigue. As not just Marvel, as DC as well. And this time around, I loved the new Batman film. But with every exception, there's the common rule where I didn't give a crap about Black Adam. Ant-Man 3, which is Marvel, that was dog shit. And I think for a lot of reasons, this is why some of these films are not doing that well. Ant-Man 3 underperformed. Black Adam underperformed. Shazam 2 definitely underperformed. The Flash is underperforming as we speak. This is a film that cost $220 million to $300 million, and it debuted to like $55 million, which is not good for that kind of movie. It really isn't. Now, glad you have a nutcase like Ezra Miller involved. That doesn't help either. So you get to, and the Disney Plus shows, I would have seen bits and pieces and clips of them, and they seem like you don't even have the big spectacle of the movies because they don't have as much of the budgets, and the effects seem a bit wonky and cheaper than usual. And I don't know why special effects of this ilk have gone downhill and like cheaped out. You think they would get better, not worse? I swear their Iron Man and Captain America movies from years ago look better than the stuff today. And because they try to be so intricate, if you don't pay attention to one show or one thing, you'd be confused. Why is this happening? Who's that? What's going on here? Well, you had to watch every single damn show in order to understand what's going on, but I don't want to. Because I don't fucking care. So you get the Secret Invasion, the new Nick Fury show, episode 1, based on a comic that I believe involved a lot of superheroes, but because nope, no superheroes involved here. Because I remember like Iron Man and all these other heroes were involved, but either they're dead, or they're retired, or they're doing their own shows, or nope, not gonna have any of that here. So much for being faithful to the source material. Says people want to mark out supposedly for that when that's not even the case. And this is just based on the first episode, a dull, boring, flat story of espionage, the political scope of the Skrulls, these aliens. They were promised a new planet. That promise hasn't been delivered, so they're pissed. So there's a rogue faction of Skrulls that are going on to Earth. They have their own little colony called New Skrullos, and they're infiltrating this and that to do these terrorist attacks because they want Russia and America to go to war with each other, which kind of weird they put that in the scope of today with what's going on in Russia. So a good chunk of this takes place in Moscow. And I barely remember Captain Marvel. So some of these characters, like Talos, the Skrull, who's now working with Nick Fury and a good guy, I barely remembered he was in Captain Marvel. That's one problem. People barely fucking remember Captain Marvel. I know the movie supposedly made $1 billion, but for a film that made $1 billion, some would say because that was a build up to, or what did that, was that right before or right after the big Avengers movie? Before, because Captain Marvel you would see an Endgame, so it was before. So it's like that was the build up to Avengers Endgame. And ooh la la. Well, it still didn't deserve $1 billion. It didn't deserve $1 million. And I could barely find a single fucking person that said Captain Marvel was the bee's knees of shit. They would just say it's dog shit, horse shit, and all the shits of the rainbow colored pile of shit. You get to the end, there's gold coins made of shit. You find out that the gold is just a wrapper and there's a bunch of little chocolate chip dog shits for you to enjoy and thus have a shit-eating grin on your face. Oh, another thing, I know the big spiel was that the opening credits are all done with AI, artificial intelligence made intro. And to be honest, it didn't look. Yes, it looked a bit unique, but at the same time, I kind of went, is that supposed to be a scroll? Like, sometimes I'm like, oh, okay, that's supposed to be Nick Fury, but I don't know. I wasn't that impressed with it, to be perfectly honest. The beginning, it starts with one talking to the other about these terrorist acts happening. Captain Marvel and Nick Fury promised to find them a planet. They didn't. You get this lame foot chase that's poorly edited because these people apparently don't know how to film action scenes. Which is funny because I watched Marvel's Daredevil season 1 and 2 and I quite enjoyed those. But that was more Netflix, and I think those people had a bit more knowledge as to what the fuck they were doing. This is not Netflix, this is Disney Plus, so it's way worse. I don't know, maybe if you had the people that worked on Netflix's Daredevil season 1 and 2, maybe you'd have more competent action scenes, but you don't. Then you have the opening credits, and then you have Nick Fury coming back, Sam Jackson with a big old gray beard. And for some reason, Nick Fury, after the blip, which is the Thanos snap where they disappear, and then by Endgame at the end they've come back, he changed. He's been affected. He's a sad sack of shit. He's not the Nick Fury he used to be. The Skrulls are mad that the plan has been found, so they feel Nick Fury has abandoned them. What the fuck is wrong with you, Nick Fury? Why is Nick Fury a dumbass? That always seems like the sentiment for a lot of the other characters talking to Nick Fury. This seems like the common, typical, lazy trope. The guy who doesn't believe himself anymore, or the guy, if he had a superpower, he would have lost his superpower. And number one, this is a common trope that just is used over and over and over and over again. There's nothing unique or interesting or creative about that choice. Number one. Number two, people want to see Nick Fury as a badass. He doesn't do a fucking thing in this episode that equates any amount of badassery. We gotta wait to see the other episodes. Whatever. It's a bad first impression. Also, why is he affected by the blip? Well, I understand, number one, it was a matter of seconds. You disappear and then you come back. So it's a matter of maybe 10 seconds. And also, you're telling me that it did not affect Tom Holland as Spider-Man? You know, being in Iron Man's arms, he disappears. Says, I forget the line he says. I don't want to go or something. He comes back. He seems perfectly fucking fine. So you're telling me that a kid, Tom Holland, who's hasn't had a ton of experience, he's not affected by it, but a guy who has had decades worth of espionage, war, all sorts of experience, he has PTSD. That's pretty much what it's trying to showcase, but not Tom Holland Spider-Man. Don't you think that's a bit fucking weird? I know you could say, well, people, it affects different people differently. I can understand that notion, but at the same time, again, you're expecting me that Tom Holland Spider-Man, who's had little to no experience, well, a little experience, not nearly as much as Nick Fury, he's fine, but Nick Fury, it's just so that he could be glum and sad and want to go on walks at night in Moscow, and people saying, you know, maybe you're not as good as you used to be. You need to walk away. Blah 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 blah. Dermot Mulroney's popping up everywhere. It seems Dermot Mulroney was in Stream 6. He's now the president here. Don Cheadle has a brief appearance as Rhodey, working with the president. Whatever happened to... Wasn't there supposed to be a War Machine TV show? Whatever happened to that? I'm not saying I care now. Maybe I did. Maybe I would have like 10 years ago, but now I don't care. But I thought that was in the works, but I don't know. And for this type of show, the problem is there's no grit, there's no mood, there's no film noir atmosphere. It just looks like a typical Marvel stuff, thinking they're serious and failing. Just becomes dull. Sam talking to the Skrull Talos. Here's the bad guys. And the little encampment. Which I saw that shit done better in District 9. From back in the day. Fury's told what's going on. They're wondering where the hell Captain Marvel is. Well, that's a good question. Because you think she would be pretty damn important. Or any fucking superhero would be pretty fucking important in this situation if it's about the end of the world. But let's not involve any of the Avengers. Like, again, I understand in comics you could ask the same thing, but in comics, maybe we give a little bit more of the past. Just think, okay, this is this comic issue, or this is this lineup. And maybe because they've had so many decades of issues, in a weird way, it's kind of hard to fathom if something's in the same continuity, in a weird way. Because it's been so many decades, and there's been thousands of issues of each particular character, from like Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, Spectacular Spider-Man, Spider-Man Unlimited, blah blah blah. Not to mention other alternate Ultimate Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2099, but regardless of those, even just the primary ones, it's been such a wide array of decades and decades worth that maybe it's hard to fathom in the same continuity, so you kind of, your mind kind of doesn't go to, well, what? Where's this guy? Where's this person? But here, when they try to make it so synced up with each other, they remind you every 5 minutes we're in the same world as this and this and this movie, because they've reminded you so much throughout these years of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This movie's about this character, but there's Thor's hammer. It's in this universe, but there's Captain America Frozen. They're in this universe, but there's Thor and Guardians of the Galaxy. So then your mind goes, well, why the fuck don't you have, you know, any of these other superheroes coming out of the woodwork to be told, this is the, anytime there's an end of the world scenario, call one of your fucking Avengers, call 2 of your Avengers, call 3 of your Avengers. Because we need to save the world. Especially if America is going to get bombed and most of you live in America. But no. Because there's this invisible boundary, as in, it's our show, it's a Nick Fury show, so nope. Maybe to argue that they wouldn't be sure if they're a Skrull or not, maybe. But at the same time, you would think some of them would be monitored enough to know and showcase that, or maybe come up with some kind of test, since Nick Fury, you've been on a fucking spaceship for who knows how many years by this point. But I guess not. I guess a blood test, nothing will do it, I guess. Not. And yet, I still don't know why Nick Fury is so bothered by the blip. A lot of conversations happening between this one Skrull lady who's the daughter of this one character, the new Skrullos encampment where they take people and people take his image, then take his memories, and then they have the person trapped up. And I don't know why they don't just kill the person after you've taken their memory, you've taken their mind, and you've taken their image. Why don't you just kill them? I don't know why. Maybe there's a reason they said I missed it. And Nick Fury doesn't really do much. There's a bit where they talk to someone who's complaining about Nick Fury sitting in Teen Louis chair. It's a comfortable chair. And then Talos and that guy fight. And Talos getting his ass kicked, so Nick Fury has to shoot that Skrull. There's a bit during this whole public appearance with all these people around, and Nick Fury's following the person, and each time the person goes around a corner, they change. Apparently nobody in the fucking crowd notices this, except Nick Fury. There's like 1,000 people, and no one's like, wait a minute, that's strange. What's going on? Wait, that person's changing. Like, nobody notices it. An explosion happens, and the explosion looks cheap, it looks bad, it doesn't look good, the explosion. It looks cheap as fuck. So, his right-hand person, Maria, which, I'll be honest, it took me a full few minutes to remember who the fuck Maria was. She was the one that was with Nick Fury and the Avengers and the Winter Soldier, and a lot of times Nick Fury would talk to this lady, Maria. Well, what happens is she gets shot and killed. She thinks she's talking to Sam Jackson. It's not. She gets shot. Sam Jackson goes to her. She dies. He walks away, mad, angry. The episode ends, and I don't give a shit that Maria died. I barely do. Name 5 things about the fucking character. I mean, she's been in quite a few films. The Avengers movies and the Winter Soldier. I can't name you 3 things. I can't name you 3 things about the character. So I don't fucking care. Whoop-de-fucking do. I didn't remember who the fuck she was. That had to take me 5 minutes to remember. Oh yeah, she was in those other movies. And she's not a bad actress, but it's just, there's nothing to the character, and I'm supposed to give a shit, and it ends with, oh my god, this character died. Who gives a fuck? I don't give a fuck. Do you really give a fuck? Because I don't give a fuck. So whoop-de-fucking do. Although at this point, if Captain Marvel got killed, I wouldn't fucking care. In fact, I would cheer and sing Kumbaya fucking ya. I've seen Louie, Louie, hey baby, she gotta go. Bye 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 Marvel, Louie, Louie. Fight that bitch, you gotta go. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. So, again, you have a boring, dull, flat story of who can you trust, espionage, they're going in to get these bombs because to try to cause tension between Russia and America. Although in this day and age where we have so many fucking supervillains and superheroes, I think it could make sense that yeah, maybe it is some other. It would be unfathomable to think that some fucking other supervillain thing is going on, and things could be deceiving. It's not like nothing has ever happened before. How many fucking movies have we seen? I mean, I'm thinking like Vantage Point, for fucking sake, with Dennis Quaid, and The Peacemaker with George Clooney and Nicole Kidman, which I like that film actually, and I like Vantage Point. It's just that we've seen this all done before, countless times, and they think just because you add a little element of the Skrulls, and once a blue moon they show their true selves, all of a sudden that makes such a worldwide difference. It really doesn't. It really doesn't. Positives, I didn't mind the actor that plays Talos. I did not mind him, his performance. Sam Jackson's pretty much going by the numbers in terms of his performance. He's much older, got his big old gray hair, doesn't really have much to do in this first episode. You don't have any of that electrifying Sam Jackson energy that I saw. Again, you have a little bit of action, a lackluster foot chase at the beginning, a supremely lackluster explosion at the end. Again, the story isn't that interesting. Also, there's a part that goes, you know what? Unless it's the Punisher, if you don't have fucking superheroes in your Marvel story, people are not really going to give a shit. And from what I understand, this is so far the lowest rated, I guess, Disney Plus show that they have. Like 63% fresh, but not by much on Rotten Tomatoes. Can't really blame them, so, because what is there to like about this? And plus, also, let's not forget, this is the same Nick Fury that you found out lost his goddamn eyeball to a fucking alien pussy. Well, okay, cat. There's a lot of, in the Marvel now, there's a lot of alien pussies, and just like there's a lot of human and superhero pussies in the Marvel universe nowadays, so I have to be specific, cat. We went from Captain America Winter Soldier, which is still, I would say, the best Marvel film of that era. The last time I trusted someone, I lost his eye. And then you find out Captain Marvel, the person he trusted was a fucking cat that had this alien shit come out to fuck up his eyeball. And a goofy, silly, funny moment. Isn't it funny? That's the same universe we're in. And in this, you don't really see him with the eye patch much because you just see his other eye and just a little bit more glazed white. So you don't even see much of the eye patch in Nick Fury. Plus, I think if you want to do something Nick Fury, it's too little too late. I mean, hell, it's been 11 years since the Avengers. Because the Avengers was what, 2012? I think it's a bit too late to do anything with Nick Fury, to maybe give a whole lot of shit. I mean, he technically was in Spider-Man Far From Home, but then you find out it really wasn't him. It was a Skrull. I'm sure somehow in the future this will lead to the Super Skrull, which was a big villain for the Fantastic Four, since Marvel now owns the Fantastic Four. And because that was the Skrull that could deal with all the Fantastic Four powers. Like one arm would be made of rock and one out of fire, or the rock would also be made of fire, but he'd also be invisible and he'd also stretch. Like, again. Anyway. If you love this, good on you. This is a boring fucking sack of shit. Jazz hands and all. We'll see you guys later.